viewers, welcome to the show Love Parenting and Mental Health with Tosin Togun, your counseling psychologist, social worker, and God servant. It will interest you to know that children's self-esteem is greatly impacted by parent-child relationship, meaning that where parent-child relationship is positive, where parent-child relationship is highly enhanced, then children's self-esteem is usually impacted on positively. But low self-esteem is an indication of emotional gap in parent-child relationship. I want you to join me on the show today as I will be unveiling 3 boosters of self-esteem in children. I'll be right back.
Are you searching for professional counseling services appealing and available to individuals, schools, families, communities, corporate and religious organizations at an affordable rate? Look no further. Show Up Counseling Clinic is a registered counseling firm and a recognized member of the Counseling Association of Nigeria. Show Up Counseling Clinic offers services in the following categories: toddler and preschool development counseling, preteens and teens counseling, premarital counseling, marital counseling, parenting, rehabilitation and remedial counseling, corporate counseling. Other services include book sales, library services and training. We also offer home services for children and the aged. Likewise, we treat addiction and offer therapy for mental well-being. Show Up Counseling Clinic is located at 99 Idito Bus Stop, adjacent Oluyolu Shasha Own, Puliyeleyele Road, Ibadan. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Show Up Counseling Clinic. For inquiry, visit our website www.shcounselingclinic.org.ng or call 0803 537 6009 or 0806 847 5755. Show Up Counseling Clinic, living people better than we met them.
Welcome back. I'm so glad you are there. Okay, like I said earlier on the show Love Parenting and Mental Health with Tosin Togun, today we'll be looking at 3 ways to boost our children's self-esteem. To start with, let's look at what self-esteem is and also its types. Then we look at how we can boost our children's self-esteem together. Wherever the level it is right now, it can be boosted in a very wonderful way. Okay, so to start with, self-esteem is usually how a person perceives himself or herself. Is an overall estimation a person has about himself or herself. Relating self-esteem or looking at self-esteem in children, it is actually how a child or it is usually how a child perceive himself, judges himself. You know, it is how children feel about themselves, their self-image, you know, their achievements, their opportunities, their performances, and their talents, and also what they feel about themselves. Interestingly, it is not how people feel about them. It is not how others judge them, but how that child himself, you know, rank himself, rate himself or herself. Okay, so self-esteem could be healthy and it could be unhealthy. You know, it is healthy when a child actually think good about himself, when a child think positively about himself or herself, when a child accepts himself for who he is with all disabilities, when a child loves his or her self-image, when a child is you know, is in love with himself or herself, could set realistic goal, could achieve realistic goal, when a child could actually you know, when a child is resonant, you know, about solving challenges, about facing life challenges, and when such a child also aspire for greatness in life. One of the wonderful things about self-esteem is that it positions a child to actually be result-oriented, you know, to aspire for greatness, irrespective of challenges that comes on a daily basis on him or her. Then it gives him or her internal, you know, internal adjustments. It makes, it gives him or her internal adjustments, to actually not be in competition with anybody, and to not seek acceptance where it is not needed. Okay, looking at it on the other way around, I said self-esteem could be unhealthy. And what do I mean when self-esteem is unhealthy? I actually mean that such a child overrates himself or herself. It is also unhealthy when a child overrates himself or herself, because such a child will not be able to relate with the reality of his or her present situation, and that could also be damaging on his or her mental health. Okay, and self-esteem could also be very, very unhealthy when a child think low about himself, that is, expects little from life, and doesn't put the worthy price on himself or herself. When a child does not feel that he or she wants something, or put a value that is desirable on himself or herself. Okay, and this in turn could affect academic performance. This could also make that child vulnerable to social vices such as drug addiction, such as cortism, appearance of the body in a way that is not too healthy, And another impact of that is that it could make a child to be vulnerable to attack of bullies, to verbal and physical abuse. It could also make a child to be vulnerable to sexual abuse, to abuse from rapists, from pedophile, and also it could also position a child, in a way that he or she can be victim of kidnappers or ritualists, because such children are usually known not to be able to speak up for themselves, and this makes them to be very, very vulnerable. And lastly, it could make a child vulnerable to unhealthy addiction like oral addiction or genital addiction. Okay, so let's look at how we can boost our children's esteem in a very positive way. The funniest thing, like I said the other time, is that this begins with you, because parent-child relationship often impacts on children's self-esteem, either positively or negatively, depending on how a parent could actually foster it. So let's start with what we have under that. Okay, number one, in boosting your child's self-esteem, will have to come to the point where you actually help this child to develop properly. By that, I mean you have to help your child develop in all areas of development that are very, very central to your child, and self-esteem. And we have about 6 or 5 areas. Number one is cognitive development of your child, meaning that your child is developing, being able to reason, being able to do mental work, and actually be excellent, taking information and give them out appropriately. Also, you help that child to develop physically. How I mean by that is that age, that child develop, appropriately with his age. Then you help your child develop socially. That is, that child is able to relate well with the members of the society, with the members of the family, feel accepted even in your own family, and feel accepted in the society, and feel responsible to that family, feel responsible to the society, and feel like part of the society. And this involves your child relating with things and people around him or her. All right, and you also help your child to develop in his emotion. That is, emotional development of your child is also very, very paramount. How do you do this? Emotional development of your child is that aspect of him that is able to give love and to accept love. It is that aspect of him that makes him or her to be able to nail his or her emotion. He or she is able to give a name to his or her emotion. Is able to say, oh, I'm hungry, I'm happy, I feel loved, I feel sad, all of these together. are very, very important. And also emotional development of your child is very, very important. And this is one of the things that make that child feel accepted, feel loved. So you have to do a number of things to make this side of your child develop well, because if it does not develop well, that child is going to have a vacuum, you know, and you will try as much as possible to fill that vacuum with anything, you know, available. It could be drugs, it could be sexual partner, it could be anything. And that's why, you know, your presence as parents is very paramount to foster and ensure that your child develop well emotionally. And I think it's also important that your child develop well spiritually. This is very, very paramount. It means showing your God to your child and letting your child have a personal relationship with your God. But it begins with you as well. If you don't have personal relationship with your God, how do you introduce your child to such a God that you are not connected to? These are areas of development, you know, that help boost your children's self-esteem the way it should be. And second to that is that you have to shun favorism among your children. You have to shun favorism among your children, and you have to stop comparing, you know, one to the other, or show preference of one to the other. It's very important, because one of the things that damages the esteem of children is knowing that the other child is being preferred to him, most especially when it happens in a family cycle, in a family circle. So you have to try as much as you can, as God help you, to let your children know that you don't have favorites among them. You know, give them equal access, equal positioning, equal attention, you know, equal opportunities, and let them see that that is your standpoint of view. Well, it's possible you actually still prefer a child, but when you verbalize that you don't have favorites, this actually, you know, let's, you know, this as a way of resetting, you know, the what has been at the back of their mind that could be negative. All right. And lastly, on how to boost your child self-esteem is that you love that child unconditionally. Love him or her unconditionally, with or without disability. You know, loving your child genuinely simply means you accept that child for who he or she is. You know, you accept and you also give time to that child. That's also part of loving your child. Paying attention to that child. Loving your child will make you to go extra mile to see, you know, that you give your time, you give yourself as a gift to that particular child, by paying attention, by accepting that child, by correcting that child when he or she is wrong, like dishing out punishments, you know, that is due for an offense, you know, when need be. You know, all of this shows that you are very, very present, you know, with that child. Also, listen to that child when he or she needs to talk, when he or she needs an ear, you know, being there, when he or she needs a shoulder, you know, offering yours. All of this put together is a pointer that you truly, truly love this child, and you are actually creating time for that child. Also, it's also important that you also foster positive criticism. How do I mean? It means that you actually correct that child with examples, not comparison now, but okay, you just like classroom teachers would do. You know, when we are wrong, when we're in school, our classroom teacher will mark us wrong and also show us examples of how to do them right. So when you correct a child for what he or she has done wrong or wrongly, then you show that child what exactly you are expecting from him or her. That way he or she names and also understand what is expected of him or her, and that way that criticism becomes positive and not damaging on that particular child. And all of this put together, you know, It begins with you. It begins with you loving yourself too well to love others. You can't give what you don't have. It begins with you accepting yourself, you know, accepting your situation. It doesn't matter if you give back to that child out of wedlock. It doesn't matter what the situation around you is. It doesn't matter if your spouse is not responsible or anyhow or circumstances around you. The child is there, the child is there, and that child deserves your best. So you have to trust God to give your best to that child. And also, it also begins with you in the sense that you have to also know yourself well. When you know yourself well, you know, it's able for you, it's easier for you to know others. When you know yourself, it's easier for you to love others. When you love yourself, it's also easier for you to forgive, because you forgive yourself because you love yourself. So forgiving your children also becomes very easy. And as I round up, if all of these affirmation points are actually worked on, one of the things it helps your child to do is that it helps your child come to the point of self-love, that is loving himself, accepting himself, self-respect, that is respecting him or herself. And all of these factors put together in turns boost your children or your child's self-esteem from whatever level it is right now, and that child becomes the child that you have been dreaming of, as in he or she becomes result oriented and achieve their goal, achieve realistic goal, and aspire for greatness. Yeah, see you some other time. I'll be drawing the curtain here. Don't forget my name, Tosin, social worker, counseling psychologist, and God's servant at Offer Generations Ministry. See you next week, same time, on the same channel. And I want you to please subscribe to this channel if you are seeing this, if you are coming across me for the first time. I'll come up every week, so subscribe and remember to turn on your notification so that you know when I'm on. Also share the videos to your families and friends. I love you. Should you have any question, please drop it on the screen. I'm sure to get back to you. See you some other time next week.